Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the AdTalk by AdClass podcast. My name's Caleb Cruz, and of course, I've got Mr. Dakota Hermes with me.
What is up? What is up? Excited for today's episode.
Yes. Me too, guys. We are talking Battle of the Ads, Facebook versus YouTube. One of the most common questions we get in the advertising world. What's better, Facebook or YouTube? And today, we answer the question for you in detail. It's going to be great.
For all, we're going to settle it today. We're going to
once and for all.
and maybe even we should probably call Facebook by its new name, right? Maybe we should say Meta versus Google would be kind of the battle of the parent companies.
Yes.
But in the advertising world, we're still used to calling them Facebook and YouTube.
Yes. That's exactly right. I guess before we get into the official debate, because we have a fun episode planned today, right, Dakota? We're going to be kind of getting into the nitty gritty, both casting our positions and going into full debate mode. I didn't do debate in college or high school. I don't think you did either, but
no, neither did I. But I always wanted to. But one of the bad things about growing up in a tiny small town is that you don't have the cool stuff like debate club. I always think back to like watching like the Olympics and seeing people do like events in track and field that were really cool. Like what's the one pole vaulting? Running down, sticking the pole vault, going over the bar. But I went to a small school. We had, 250, 300 students in our high school. So we didn't have money for pole vaulting. We didn't have money for debate club. We were just, stuck in the mainstream stuff. So I'm excited today. This is my foray into debate club with you, Caleb.
Heck yeah, man. It's going to be fun. And I also think that was the first time anyone said that we didn't have anything cool like the debate club. I don't know if anyone's ever called the debate club cool before, but you did.
Fair. We did have Scholastic Bowl though, which in case you don't know, is basically
sounds like a type of cereal.
Yeah, well, it sounds like that, but it's basically trivia club, and so I guess that counts. Definitely wasn't cool, but I was in it, so.
Cool. Well, yeah, man, I'm pumped. So I guess for all of you guys that are listening, Facebook versus YouTube. Let's talk a little bit about it. So we basically get this question all the time because when a business owner or anybody that starts kind of dipping their toes into the advertising world, one of the first questions that they ask is, well, where should I put my ads, right? Or they come with an idea of where they think they should be putting up their ads, right, based off of what their friends tell them, or maybe they just like a certain platform more, right? So we're gonna kind of dive into that today. I guess, Dakota, do you want to give a just really quick overview, like when we say Meta ads, right? Like what all does that include for those that are kind of maybe newer to the space?
Yeah, absolutely. And even one step back from that, you might be thinking like, well, geez, Google's huge. Google's got to be bigger than Meta. Or, maybe you're like, well, Meta is huge. It's got to be bigger than Google. The reason why this debate is actually even relevant is that they both do a very similar amount in ad revenue per year. So like the market share is actually pretty similar between these two companies, which I find fascinating. I actually think that that's, when we get into the debate, we might have some points on that for Meta's favor, because it's kind of crazy that they're keeping up with the big dog Google, in terms of ad revenue. But yeah, to answer your question, Caleb, kind of what we're talking about when we talk about Meta and, in particular is obviously Facebook as a platform, right? Any of the ads that you see on Facebook, and there's a lot of different placements that you can get an ad on Facebook, but there's other things that Meta owns, like Instagram, right? Huge platform, a lot of ads on Instagram. WhatsApp is owned by Meta as well. And here in the US, we don't use WhatsApp as extensively, but in the rest of the world, specifically in Latin America, WhatsApp is by far the number one messaging platform. There are so many people on WhatsApp. I don't have the stats, but I'm sure it's in the billions. And they use it primarily over like text messaging, right? So WhatsApp is huge. Ad placements are there as well. And, they have like a slew of other places like in-network stuff that you can serve on, similar to what Google has for like display. So, they have other websites that they have purchase space on that you can serve ads on, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a big platform. So when we're talking about Meta, that's kind of what we're talking about, primarily Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and kind of all the things encompassed there.
Yeah, before we talk about Google too, just to
Yeah.
add to that really quick, I think I'm glad that you broke down the different things there because I think a lot of people, especially kind of new to the space, they think, "Oh, I really want to get ads going on Instagram," and they think that that is like its own thing. They think like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go launch Instagram specific ads like on the Instagram platform." But you have to kind of take a step back and realize like the umbrella company over it all, right, is Meta, and so you're setting up a business manager on inside of Meta that allows you to run on all of those platforms, right? So it's not just like,
Exactly.
hey, I'm just gonna go run on Instagram or whatever, right? So really cool for those of you that might be kind of just jumping into it. Okay, now on the flip side, we've got Google, right, which owns that whole suite. Okay, and so on Google, primarily the things that we talk about are going to be Google Search, Google Display. Those are kind of the two big ones. You've got Google Shopping if you're dealing with e-commerce, right? But really in our space where Dakota and I work the most is in video, which is obviously YouTube. Okay, so YouTube is a beast of a platform, really huge. I'm going to try to not talk too much about how awesome it is before we get into the debate. Um,
Just in case you get assigned Meta.
just in case I
By
get
the way,
inside
we don't
Meta.
know what we're going to be representing in the debate, but it's going to be at random. Matthew's
Yeah,
going to have
yeah,
to
it's
come
gonna
in
be at
and
random. We're
tell us.
gonna have to argue for whichever side Matthew assigns us.
Yeah.
So excited for that. Matthew's got something cool up his sleeve. But anyways, yeah. So in the same fashion that Meta has Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, right? When you're going onto Google, you're really thinking about not only the search and display aspects and the shopping, but you're also thinking about how YouTube is kind of a whole arena of its own.
Yeah, and I think too, like in that same discussion, display is really, it's a beast of its own for Google because basically there's something called the display network, which is just thousands
Mm,
of websites and publications that Google has purchased space on. So if you're ever, browsing through a website, scrolling through and you're seeing ads that seem kind of generic, or like maybe you've seen them in other places, it's because that is like basically real estate that Google has purchased on that website called the display network. and
hmm
and so basically between display, search, and YouTube, it's a lot of territory that Google can cover.
Yeah.
um and it's very different from the territory that Facebook covers, but we'll talk more about that in the debate, I'm sure.
One more thing before we get to the debate is I really want to talk about like us at AdClass. Obviously, for those listening that don't know, Dakota and I own a marketing firm called AdClass, and we've now spent 50-60 million dollars or managed 50-60 million dollars in ads for other businesses. So we spent a lot on both Facebook and YouTube. And so Dakota, do you want to talk just a little bit about like where our spend and budget allocations are? What do percentages look like? And what
Yeah,
kind of results have we been able to see for some of the people that we've worked on when it comes to these platforms?
absolutely. Yeah, between Meta and Google, those are our primary two platforms. That's why we're discussing them in depth today. We run a little bit on other platforms, maybe the LinkedIn's of the world, TikTok, right? Like those sort of relevant platforms, but not the big dogs, I guess, in the space.
Hmm.
So really we're limiting this conversation to just Meta and Google. And at AdClass, I would say, we're probably somewhere around 60-40 split right now. 60% of
Hmm.
our spend, maybe 70 in, some cases, just depending on the month, goes toward Meta right now.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
other 30 to 40%, I would say, is Google.
Yeah.
And it's not because we like one more than the other necessarily. I mean, we're about to pretend that we do when we argue their benefits, but it's more so just sort of comes down to like the order in which we like to launch an offer and scale an offer. And so we'll talk more about why that is the case in a little bit here, because I think it kind of speaks to the benefits of certain platforms over others. But
Mm.
right now, I would say, yeah, we're about 60 to 70% spending on Meta. And really for us at AdClass, we emphasize profit for the companies that we work with, right? So all
Yeah.
we really care about when we're running ads is if when you spend $1, do you make more money back than you spent, right? And we call
Hmm.
that ROAS, return on ad spend. So if you're spending $1, you want to make back, $4, $5, $6, $7, $10, $15 in return.
Right.
We're going to spend where we're seeing that money come back for you. So we're not going to be biased toward where the spend is. If your offer works on Google, we're going to scale it on Google, right? If it works on Meta, we're going to scale it on Meta. We're not going to be, influenced by like our personal bias on that platform, because
Of course.
ultimately at the end of the day, profit is what matters for companies, right? And so it just kind of turns out right now that we're about 60-70% on Meta.
Thanks for going through that, dude, because I think that probably surprises a good chunk of people. I think like for people who are just would probably maybe take a random guess, like you said at the beginning here, people think of Google as I think being so huge and massive, right? So you would think that like a lot more of our budget goes there, and we do spend a lot there. It's not to say that we don't, but I think people might be surprised to hear how much we're able to spend on the Meta like suite, right? And you know the results that we still get for people, because like you said, at the end of the day, we're scaling where we see profit for our customers, and our customers are definitely seeing profit on both of these platforms. So, you know, we scale where we see it more. So
Exactly.
it depends on client to client, right? Let's bring in the secret man in the shadows. Matthew, where are you hiding?
Oh, I'm always here, friends. I'm always here.
I'm always watching you, Wazowski.
Oh, Matthew.
We've been on a Disney kick lately at AdClass. That's a good one.
We really have.
Yeah,
That's
a good one.
It was good.
I'm
We started our
watching
stand-up.
you, Wazowski.
We started our team. For those of you that
watching.
don't know, we started our team stand-up this morning, and we asked Samantha on our team what her top 3 favorite Disney movies are, and it became a whole debate discussion thing.
Well, because we ask everybody, what's your favorite movie? That's like an onboarding question at AdClass. And Samantha's answer was just Disney. I'm like, hey man, you're gonna have to be more
All of
specific than that.
Just all of it.
Just all of them. I know it wasn't that new Pinocchio, because man, I watched
Oh,
that.
gosh.
That was a grudge fest. But
That was rough.
I digress. All right, Matthew, what do you got for us?
Yeah, well, this isn't a debate about Disney. This is a debate about YouTube versus Meta, or Google versus Meta. Facebook versus YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So many name changes. It's really tough to keep.
It's hard to keep up, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Dakota wasn't a part of a debate club. I'm a nerd, so I was. So this is going to be a good old fashioned.
Wait, Matthew, are you sure it's not really cool? Like Dakota said, like did everyone find you super cool for being?
It's pretty cool.
Oh no,
guys.
it was terrible. It was terrible. Like we would debate stuff like, you know, what was the best Charles Dickens novel? Like,
dang,
no one's spending time with that.
Yeah,
I thought you would be like, what's better, Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft?
Well, that's not a debate. No,
what's the best League of Legends characters, Matthew?
I don't even know a single one. I'm not a gamer. I will happily debate Tale of Two Cities versus David Copperfield, though.
See, yeah, you know, and another debate we should have at some point is there a difference between a nerd, a geek, and like, you know, I think there's other words for it, because I think video game people, like nerds, are totally different from like tabletop nerds, and that's totally different from like what you're describing, Matthew, which is like novels from early 1900s nerds. You know, there's levels to this game.
There's different levels, categories of nerd. Yeah,
there's different levels of sadness in life.
There's like you own a sword, you know, you own a sword is like one camp, and then you play video games is like another one.
Dakota's like low key making enemies on this podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm in one of those fields. I'm just saying we're not all the same. Okay, I don't own a sword, but I do like to play. I do like to watch Fortnite on my iPad sometimes. Okay, so I'm somewhere on the spectrum. Okay,
you're definitely on the spectrum. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, really getting back to it, because
all right, we're ready.
Old school debate club rules is you each get 2 minutes with your position to make a case, and then after that you will have, I'll give you 5 minutes to go back and forth, like picking holes in each other's like positions, and really finding it out between like who is the superior platform for running an ad. So the debate is, I can only run ads on one platform. This is why my platform is superior. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right, cool. And just to make things super duper upfront, and no one can, you know, accuse me of impartiality, let's do this.
Hey, check out that Google display ad on the left side.
Wow. Wow.
I know what
Are you in the mood for Panda Express?
Not after seeing that ad. Oh my gosh.
You know the people running the ads for Panda are like hoping that my reaction to that is, you know what I'm getting for lunch? I'm so hungry for some Panda now. Like, dude, come on.
You know what's kind of amazing is I saw a Ryan Pineda reel earlier this morning that he was specifically talking about Panda Express as well. So now it's entered my life twice today.
Dude, they're listening. All right.
But,
All right. So what is this for? We get to choose the one we want to represent?
So what I will do is I will spin it, and whoever it lands on gets Google.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Sound
snap.
good?
Oh, snap.
Big bucks, no whammies.
And
Oh,
whoever
snap.
loses gets some sizzling shrimp.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dakota gets
Google.
Google.
Give me Google.
All right, that also means that you go first. Haha.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay,
fair.
yeah, that's fair. Okay, let me pull up a timer real quick.
I might need some sizzling shrimp to, get my energy. I heard Panda Express has some brand new sizzling shrimp. It's different. It's the same shrimp as it used to be, but now it sizzles.
Now
So,
it sizzles.
It's actually cooked all the way through. Yeah.
guaranteed to not make you sick. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I've got my timer on the clock. I will let you know when you have 1 minute left, and then I'll give you a 10-second.
Let's do it.
All right, off you go.
All right, so if I had to choose a platform to run ads on for the rest of my life, I could only pick one. My platform is easily Google, and that's the truth. I would have picked Google either way. So here we go. Google, I think, is better in a lot of reasons. So number one, it comes down to this. On Google, you have multiple types of ads that you can run. So we have basically search and display, which we talked about, which are intent-based advertising for the most part, search specifically. And then you also have YouTube, which is basically more like discovery-based. And really quick to break down the difference there, Facebook doesn't really enter this conversation because Facebook is only discovery-based, whereas Google is intent-based and discovery-based. What I mean by that is, let's say you needed a plumber. You're probably not going to see a Facebook ad for a plumber when you need it, right? Instead, you're going to go to Google and say, I need a plumber in Phoenix, Arizona. And you're going to see Google search ads for plumbers in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's take it a step further, though.
1 minute.
After they've clicked on your ad for a plumber, now what does Google know about you? They know that you probably own a house, right? And so now, if you're someone targeting homeowners, you can also put them in an audience and serve YouTube ads to them for them to discover your product that helps homeowners, right? So Google has this slew of data on people that Facebook can't even touch because Google knows the searches that you're putting in, it knows the websites you're visiting, it knows the YouTube videos you're watching, the algorithm has it honed in, and you can use a mixture of intent-based and discovery-based ads that is so much stronger than just discovery-based. Because intent is a whole nother world, right? That we actually know what you want right now when you type it into that search bar. Hitting people when they want it is so much easier than making them discover something on their own time. That's really it. That's my whole argument. I feel really good about it. Not even to mention display, which is this whole other game. Sizzling shrimp, anyone? Feeling good?
And that's time.
That was a very solid close. That was a very solid close.
Ooh.
Bringing it full
I'm thinking
circle.
about now.
Bringing it
That
full
was
circle.
stressful. I'm over here wondering, did I use like any fallacies in my argument? Because I know that's a part of debate club. I'm like, am I doing red herring or something? Matthew?
No, that was good.
Yeah.
You did a red shrimp. So
I did a red shrimp. All right. Let's hear it, Caleb.
All right.
Okay.
Over to you, Caleb, starting now.
Okay, so I am supposed to be telling you about what ad platform I would use forever if I could only choose one and why. And the answer is definitely Meta. And the first reason is because everything that Dakota said is wrong. Everything that he said is definitely wrong because that's how debates work. So don't listen to him. The second thing that I'm going to say is that you have to consider barrier to entry. Okay, so this is a big thing that we constantly tell people that we work with, which is that when you're looking at the Meta platforms versus Google, it is so much easier to get started on Facebook for the simple fact that you don't have to have video. Okay, so when you're getting started on YouTube, we all know YouTube is a video platform, right? Whereas on Facebook, you can very easily get started with an image and long form copy. Okay, and long form copy also is ridiculous ridiculously powerful in the marketing world, and it's something that YouTube basically doesn't really incorporate into their type of marketing, right? So you can use your long form copy as like a video script and things, right? But again, it's just harder, it's more work to get that stuff done. Whereas on Facebook, you basically have the ability to really write a like marketing sales letter in a way in your ad, right? So for those of you out there that are like, hey, I'm nervous to be on camera, I'm nervous, I don't have like a great camera with great production quality and all of those things, YouTube is going to be a little bit more intimidating and scary for you to get started, because you do have to have video in order to get started there. Okay, so that's really the first thing that I want to say as to why I would definitely pick Facebook. Now, the other thing is that, in my opinion, it's easier to learn. I think that when you start to get into both platforms, if you've ever been in both, what you'll see is that Google tends to intimidate people a lot more, especially if you
10
download
seconds.
the Google Ads editor on your own platform. Did you say 1 minute, Matthew?
You have 5 seconds
Oh, dang it. Okay.
and time.
He
Facebook
rest
rocks.
his case.
Man, I was in the zone. I thought I had like a whole minute left. Dang.
Man, it was like a Facebook live training. Goodness me.
Dude, just going for it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Solid points, Caleb. Solid points.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock, and you guys can duke it out and go.
So, Caleb, you mentioned in your argument that Google doesn't let you run ads unless you have video, which is just untrue. We have to remember here, Google, there's a lot of different options there. Google search ads do not incorporate video whatsoever. So I'm going to have to push back a little bit on that one. You know, you're mentioning barrier to entry, but I would say setting up a Google search ad, one of the easier things to do, especially if you're using their platform. All you got to do is click a couple buttons, put in your website, put in some keywords, put in, a headline and a couple of links. Boom, Google search ad is live. So barrier of entry, I don't know. YouTube, maybe. YouTube, I give you that. It's harder to create a YouTube video than it is to type some copy up and put a picture up. I get that. But when you get that YouTube video dialed in, I think it tells a much better story than what you're able to do with just a photo and some text.
Right. Part of me so badly while you were talking wanted to do like that laugh that you see with politicians where they just like like as you're talking like
or the Trump wrong.
Yeah, wrong. Exactly, that's exactly what I was going for.
Wrong.
Okay, so yeah, so I raise you, what is the title of our debate is what, like Facebook versus YouTube. So I was just trying to highlight that, okay, sure, you could use some copy to get started on Google, but at the end of the day, it's still short form copy in a Google search ad. You're not really getting a full message out there, right? You're getting maybe a hook with like some supplementary text as well, with a description, like a light description. But in my opinion, you're still not getting that juicy Facebook long form copy that you can just post with an image. You know what I mean? So
yeah, harder to tell a story with a Google search ad. I feel you there. But I think zooming back a little bit to maybe the audiences that we're able to target here, I would say Google has a strong upper hand here because specifically in the last couple of years, Facebook has taken away a lot of the targeting availability. So when people are really trying to advertise specifically to certain groups of people, Google's got them beat. I can put in basically a lot. Just for those that don't know, I can put in a website that's similar to ones that I want to target, and it will find me people that visit that website. I can put in keywords or search queries. Like I could say people searching for, AdTalk by AdClass, and I can find other people searching for other podcasts that are similar to that, right? I can target people based on demographics, job titles, affinities, interests and purchase behavior. I can target people based on YouTube subscribers, similar channels, specific videos being watched on certain channels. I mean, the world is my oyster on Google, right? Like I can basically find the people that I want to target and target them. Facebook can't do it.
Right. So what would your answer be to the fact that Google is removing their similar audiences? So basically Google's version of lookalikes is getting taken away from the platform. Meanwhile, on Facebook, lookalikes are still one of the hottest and highest converting ways to convert audiences. So
my answer
Facebook
would be,
does have this.
How often do we use similar audiences at AdClass successfully? Almost never.
My answer would be I'm trying to have a debate and crush you, and
Your
so
answer would be, dang it, you're right. Similar audiences were never good. Unfortunately, they were too small. They were pre-created by Google. You didn't have any control over them. So yeah, Facebook's lookalike audiences are better. Absolutely, I'll give you that.
yeah,
You got
yeah.
that. Facebook's lookalike
Thank you,
audiences are
sir.
what are
Thank
keeping
you,
them
sir.
alive, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
interest based are not working really that well. I mean,
Not as
they're
well as it
okay.
used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But lookalikes, that's some proprietary data that Facebook has that's really, really, really good. I mean,
Still crushes. Yeah.
and to hand feed you an argument here that I think will help you win this debate
You're
a
not
little
supposed
bit.
to do that, Dakota.
I'm going to do it anyways, because for the people at home, they need to know the pros and cons.
Yeah.
The news feed, man, you got to mention the news feed. I mean, the news feed is
So
something that
that's
Facebook
true.
has that YouTube just does not have. As much as YouTube wants their like main page, their discover page, to be like a Facebook news feed, it's not like that. It's very different. And so that news feed, it's gotten worse in recent years, and that's what I'll poke holes in now, is that like Facebook used to be a place where we scrolled that news feed religiously.
Yeah.
Now it's ads. It feels like just ads and stuff I don't want to see mostly.
Yeah.
So maybe that first ad or second ad I will look at, but I'm not scrolling much further than that. So they have to get creative with their new placements. It used to be better, but it still is a place to discover, especially with Instagram in the mix, right?
For sure. Yeah. And I think, Matthew, we're probably like totally just going all over the place here. But one of the things is, I think, just to kind of honestly talk about both platforms here for a second, is I think that YouTube, like you talked a little bit about intent and discovery there, right? And I think like YouTube is seen as like an education type of platform as well. Like people go there and search how to accomplish XYZ. And I think that that's a huge benefit that Facebook doesn't have. But meanwhile, the thing I will say that is a positive for Facebook in the terms of like where is someone's headspace as they're on the
30
platform
seconds.
is I believe that on Facebook and Instagram, the user's headspace is more like where they're at, I think, emotionally. And as you're typically scrolling through, like, I think those social platforms, is you're thinking through like, what are other people doing? Like, do people like my things? How can I like be more like this person, right? And I think that there's certain ads that work
10
better
seconds.
in that headspace versus where you might be on YouTube as you're actively seeking something else out, right?
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. Totally different mindset when you're using the two platforms.
And that is time. That was very good, guys. That was very good.
don't lie to us. Don't lie to us, Matthew.
Don't lie. It was a landslide victory, dude.
It was like not even close. But
I think we have more to say too on the differences between the platforms. But declare your winner, Matthew, first.
As the Chris Wallace to your Biden and Trump, then I will be declaring Dakota the winner, and I will not be saying which one
rigged.
of those two people Dakota is.
Guys, there were mail-in votes.
Oh, it's rigged.
And it's rigged. And I'm not
used the
accepting
Dominion system to decide that. So
no. So we were joking before.
I'm gonna post on my Instagram to storm the podcast.
Storm it, dude. We were talking.
Sad.
Sad. Oh gosh. Okay, we were talking before the podcast.
I've been indicated.
Hey, we were talking before the podcast that whoever got Google was going to be handed the victory, because here's the reality and what we truly believe at AdClass. The future of these platforms is gonna basically be very different than what we're experiencing in reality right now. Now, there's a lot of layers to this, but it's been very clear since the rebrand of Facebook to Meta that Meta is looking at the metaverse, right? They're looking at kind of their next big foray into, virtual reality mostly is kind of what Mark Zuckerberg has been really, really focused on. I have the Meta Oculus, whatever it is, the Meta Quest 2, and I've been playing around with it a little bit. I can totally see why they're putting so much emphasis there. Now, think though 10 years from now, when that's more in our day-to-day life, whatever that looks like, maybe it's a pair of glasses we wear, maybe our business meetings are, in a virtual conference table, whatever it is, they're preparing to be basically the main owner of whatever virtual reality looks like in the future. And what that means is that ad space is going to look completely different, right? For Meta particularly. So although right now the market share looks a little scary for Meta because people are kind of abandoning Facebook a little bit. They're abandoning Instagram a little bit. Platforms like TikTok have popped up and taken a lot of the market share for people who just want to like mindlessly scroll their phones, right? YouTube is not going anywhere. Google's not going anywhere. They're strong. They're going to stay strong. But Meta, there's a little bit of concern there, right? And for good reason. But I would say in the long run, 5 to 10 years, Meta's very well positioned for growth because they've kind of looked at AI. They've bought out like all of the competitors in AI when they've been small, and AI and virtual reality, and basically they're positioning themselves for stuff down the road at this point. Mark Zuckerberg's a smart guy. He understands that there's a shelf life to social media apps, even though he has the best, longest running one. There's a shelf life, right? Young people aren't on Facebook. It's as simple as that. And young people are not signing up for Facebook, right? They're going elsewhere. What are young people doing? They're growing up to be YouTubers.
Yeah,
right.
That's so true. And to drive that point home, one of the younger members of our team at AdClass, his name is Liam. He actually had to create a Facebook profile because like we were gonna like we basically were like, hey, we need you to start running ads on Facebook, and he's like, I don't have a Facebook account. So
didn't have Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah. So just super interesting that like how things trend that way. But yeah, dude, I mean,
think about this. Think about your virtual conference room, right? In Meta. They're already doing this, by the way. I played some Texas Hold'em poker in Meta. I'm at a virtual casino with a headset on, okay? Looking around, there's advertisements on the wall. There's ad space, like billboards and stuff in virtual reality that is just fabricated space that doesn't actually exist, but is still as relevant as it would be if I was driving my car down the road and seeing it.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of ad revenue to be seen on these platforms. It's just going to be in ways that we've never even thought of before.
Yeah, which is really cool and exciting. So I think that's a nice full circle way for us to end here, talking about the future of kind of where these platforms are both headed. Both have very interesting, strong futures. Like you said, every young boy that I talk to is like, I'm going to be a YouTuber. Like every single
one of them. Astronaut anymore, dude.
No,
they're not like, I'm going to be a firefighter.
Yes, exactly. And also most of them talk about having like a Quest, right? Like the headset, like VR stuff. So it's like, both companies are on the cutting edge. I think long-term are going to be successful, but I think in different arenas, which will be really cool to see that they're kind of both paving their own road. So
absolutely, dude. And just to reiterate, we spend more on Meta right now, a little bit more on Facebook and Meta because it's still working very much. Like Caleb said, I think the main reason why we push people there is because it's easier to get going right at the beginning, easier to get some wins. And then we tell people once you're spending a little bit on Meta, on Facebook specifically, let's push to YouTube as well. Let's start recording some videos. Let's get some video ads going. Let's get some branded search going on Google, right? And that's kind of the mix that we tell people to use still. In a year, that might be different, right? And so that's kind of where the debate is always fluid, right? It's gonna be changing year over year, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yep. Exactly. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed our Facebook versus YouTube debate. We use both platforms. Both have a ton of pros and some cons to each. But hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, let us know. Come hang out with us. We have a free Facebook group that you can join, facebook.com/groups/free AdClass. If you want to come hang with us, we'll talk about ads. And if you want personal advice on which channel you should be on, or if Facebook or YouTube makes more sense, or maybe it's something random like TikTok, we run on those platforms as well. LinkedIn, others, Twitter. So yeah, come on, ask the questions, come hang out with us, and we will see you in 2 weeks on the next podcast. Good to see you guys.
Peace. Spoiler alert. Next one will be on TikTok.
Let's go.